Alrighty, so I wanted to test out Echidna for farming because that is one of the biggest reasons why I was super interested in her. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, whatever, farming's not that interesting. Completely understandable. But, characters that have more uses are always a little bit more interesting and nice to have. So, because she has double AoE and her Holy Relic makes it to where she deals more damage with her enemies being debuffed, we're going to do the gold dungeon really quickly. This is not a time-limited dungeon, so we're not using Red Liz here. I do plan on using her for Super Awakening coin farm later in the video, so we'll also test that out, and I'll probably replace Ragnarok Bond with Liz. But yeah, I have Arthur on the team because his Holy Relic is going to apply a debuff on the enemies to lower their defense related stats at the very beginning, so they'll all automatically be debuffed. Interested to see which cards that the AI tends to use. I guess I'm imagining it's probably going to use her AoE first because it's a debuff card, and the AI typically tends to go with AoEs first. But I'm going to do a run of the gold coin dungeon for the cosmetic upgrades. I'm going to go for a run of the silver coin dungeon for anvils, and I think it gives awakening stones and stuff as well, but I'm mainly looking for anvils, I guess. And then we're going to do a run of the super awakening coin dungeon as well. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I feel like I've gotten a pretty good team going at this point. All of these characters are running attack crit damage sets, except for Bond in the back running HP defense because he's not in the front. So that was one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to go with Echidna with a more aggressive set, so her attack crit should hopefully help her deal more damage, get the fights over with faster, which means farming faster. So I guess let's hop in and kind of see how it goes. We'll watch the first one and see sort of what the AI plans to do. Obviously there's going to be slight variations here and there depending on what extra card you draw, or once you push past the first phase, and you see how that goes. And yeah, I guess we'll just kind of see. Okay, it did not go for the AoE card or the infect card first, which I was really expecting it to. One of the biggest problems I have with having Arthur on the team is that he does have a single target card, which is kind of annoying. I always have a tough time seeing, or like I have a really it's just annoying to me that I know that you need to use king cards first, and the AI obviously does not do that fairly often, so now it's using triple king cards, which should hopefully push the phase here. I guess it just depends on how much damage it does to the green one on the left there. It looks like it should be okay because the sever card normally, or the power strike card normally does more damage. Okay, and then it should be 3 enemies here as well, so hopefully we're pushing AoE cards instead of the single targets, but we have 3 Arthur single targets in hand, so I guess we'll see how that goes. I probably need to pull up a timer really quickly, and we'll go ahead and start that. I know I'm a little bit late, but I'll try to keep track of how long it takes me to finish each of these sort of farms, kind of give you guys the updated numbers and everything once it's over with, and yeah, I will be back momentarily. Alrighty, so really quickly, I just, the RNG of getting Arthur cards and stuff like that is definitely slowing down the team a bit. I'm going to swap over to Shin really quickly, and I'm going to keep this in the stopwatch as well. So we'll just swap over to green Shin because he has double AoE. He also has a debuff card as well. Hopefully the AI will be smart enough to use the AoE or the debuff cards first, so that way we don't have to run into any issues and we'll get maximum damage output when Echidna attacks. But obviously it's not using king cards first either, so it's probably going to lose a little bit of efficiency. I tend to let the gold and silver coin dungeons run automatically because there's not really anything you can do about the variation in chest drops or anything. But for the super awakening coin dungeon, I'll probably do that one pretty hands-on to make sure that I am getting as much value there as possible, because you want to make sure you only get one of those keys every 2 weeks at this point, so making sure I get as many super awakening coins is definitely the goal. But yeah, I will be back. We'll see how long this ends up taking with the rest of these rounds. Alright, so interested to see the damage here really quickly. We're still in the same run, but it used the debuff card first, it used a king card, and then we had good merge for a level 3 here. Okay, 786k damage is not bad at all. I guess the biggest problem here is that even in the first phase for this one, the main enemy, I guess, like the green unit, ended up surviving pretty easily, and it took like an extra turn or so to get him killed before, you know, or after the other ones had already died. So not super happy with that, but I mean, what are you gonna do? You're basically just gonna be autoing these anyway, so I don't know, it's just kind of going in the background. But either way, you see, like, he's so close to dying, but you still have to wait for it to rotate around again for another turn, so kind of annoying there. Alright, so the last run just finished for the gold dungeon, and after watching it for a little while, I have to say Shin was definitely better. He ranked up the cards and stuff like that, made it a lot smoother. Obviously, if the AI would use King first and then make sure to debuff and everything more efficiently, it would have been fine. You have an hour to finish, all 7 runs of the gold coin dungeon normally, and we did it in roughly, I would say, about like 18 minutes, which isn't too bad. And that was with me doing the first run with Arthur, which was a little bit slower because there was a lot of single targets, and I still ended up switching teams while the timer was going. So honestly, not too bad. Under like half time utilized, I think, is not too bad at all. I guess we'll use the same thing, hop into the silver coin dungeon, which actually has 10 runs. Yeah, 10 runs right here. So I guess we shall see how this one goes, and I'll reset the timer and start it again. And yeah, I guess we'll watch the first run just to see, because I can't remember. I would assume everything's pretty much the same. The enemies might actually be weaker on this one, because you're not, I guess, doing it for as good of rewards, maybe. I'm not sure how they balance these, but Shin's Sever card actually is pretty good. I think, honestly, one of the weakest cards that I end up having in hand is this card right here, the Sever card. It just, I don't know why, it just doesn't end up seeming to do too well. I think another thing with these silver and gold coin dungeons, though, is that you want to have like type advantage a little bit more than you would think, or maybe just one of the enemies is I don't know, maybe a little bit stronger than the other ones, because with the last one, the gold coin dungeon, it seemed like the one green opponent that you start with every time, like, he was just way tankier or just took a lot less damage than the others, just every single run for whatever reason. And the green, or the red one, actually was there, which, I mean, we do have 2 green DPS, 1 blue DPS, and it wasn't using as many king cards, so that might make sense as far as like the type advantage goes. But yeah, all right, so we have a gold card here. I don't think this is going to kill the middle unit here. It might. Nah, it didn't. The middle unit on the last phase is normally pretty tanky, so this one's already going a lot faster as far as I can tell, which, I mean, I guess it's using about the same amount of turns either way, so it's not, I guess, necessarily faster, but I don't know. This one seems to be going by a little bit smoother, I guess. But either way, we're gonna, I guess, come back in a minute. Alrighty, so we just finished that one. It's about 18 minutes 30 seconds. Obviously, there's a lot of variation there. I think one of the biggest problems with running these dungeons is that, like, specifically in phase 2, whenever you go up against like the orcs or the goblins or whatever you want to call them, I'm pretty sure that there's like a system in place to where they won't take nearly as much damage unless one of the adds is dead. So it's kind of just like a situation where, unless you get really lucky with pulling cards and like having a bunch of Shin passives proc and level up a bunch of your stuff in hand, and you go into phase 2 with like just good gold cards and it uses all of them, it's very few and far between where it actually like one phases that turn. So I think it's probably going to end up being more than likely like a 4-turn run, because it's going to take 2 turns to get rid of both of the adds, or all of the adds in the first phase, and then 2 turns to get rid of the adds in phase 2, and another turn to get rid of the actual boss itself. So there's not much that you can actually speed up there with the way that the actual thing works, it seems like. But either way, I'm going to do a little bit more hands-on with this one. I think that this one should go pretty smooth as far as I can, say, because most of the time it does. And with Echidna on the team, hopefully it wouldn't slow anything down, I would imagine. But we'll hop in. I'll show you guys the first first I guess run just to show you what I would normally do, I guess, which I'm not using Arthur, which I would normally have on the team, but he's not necessarily doing like a whole lot of damage most of the time anyway. So it's already on auto, but either way, I guess this isn't like a bad first turn play. Hopefully this kills all of the enemies, because normally I can kill these enemies first turn every time with Arthur on the team. We did not get the kill there, unfortunately. Another big thing about this stage specifically, if you're running on the highest difficulty, is that using all AoE characters doesn't really help you when you get to phase 2, because it's literally just one copper demon, and having Arthur on the team is actually kind of nice because he has a debuff disable at level 2, and if you get pretty good RNG, he'll use a lot of debuff cards, and that will actually just save you a lot of time with disabling those, and then he won't be able to attack, kind of thing going on. Just out of curiosity, we're going to debuff and then use her cards because we have good cards in hand. Obviously, we could have, put the king card on first. 146 isn't too bad. 152. It's very, very, few and far between where I actually get a run where I can like 3-phase this like very efficiently. Sometimes, like if I get really good RNG, back when I had Escanor on the team, which might be the better call here instead of running Shin maybe, but I used to be able to do pretty well if I would get good Escanor cards in hand going into this last phase, because then I would be able to do just a lot of single target damage straight to the boss and kill him, which I guess the defense related stats lower might just be better overall. I wasn't paying attention to my drops there, so that's kind of a rip on the run. I might actually swap back to Arthur here instead of running Shin, because of the defense related stats lower, and it'll automatically have the debuff on for me and everything. So I think that just might end up being just overall better for this run specifically. So let me do one more. I'll try to run through, because the biggest thing with this stage is not necessarily going to be like time related. It's just going to be on how well my drops go more than anything. But as long as I can, get a consistent clear, then that's really all I'm looking for here. So I guess, we can just do something like this. We already have the debuff on, so we can just use both of the Echidna's cards. They should do extra damage. So we put the debuff or the king shield on, which means we do more damage, and then this kills. This does not kill. Okay, well, normally I have Sariel on the team whenever I do this, and I don't know, maybe he just ends up being a little bit better for this scenario specifically, which is kind of unfortunate, I have to be honest. So I guess we'll just I don't know, I'll keep doing it with her on the team, and I'll kind of give you my final conclusion once we're done running the dungeon. So really quickly, I wanted to add a note in. It seems like with Arthur on the team, he's definitely the better option. If you are using this exact same setup with King and Echidna, you definitely want to use both of King's cards first. You could probably get away with using the Arthur card here, but I've been just testing Echidna to see how she does, and using both King cards is enough to do good damage on both of the red units. It's type neutral on the green or the blue unit, which means that Echidna will actually deal more damage to the blue, and you get a pretty consistent one turn clear right there on phase 1. Unfortunately, with just all of the AoE cards that we have and Arthur not being super fantastic for single target damage, you're basically going to get the same performance out of all of the phase 2 runs, where it's basically going to be 2 turns each. So I mean, that's fine, I guess. It's not really like a downside or anything. I think Arthur's probably just necessary for the team to consistently, you get like the extra damage dealt, because it's PvE, you take less damage, which isn't like a huge issue with this game mode. It might be like if you're not super, well caught up on your gear or whatever, but yeah, just having the extra damage dealt and everything is really what's important. So making sure you attack with, you know, King first. You're already getting the buff from Arthur's passive. I don't know. The rest of it's pretty okay. I mean, phase 2 is just kind of up in the air on whether or not it's actually going to be a good run or not. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty consistent as far as like just taking 2 turns pretty much every single time. But now that I know which cards that I need to use, just having, you know, both of the King cards go first into an Echidna card seems to be fine. Which I guess I could try it with the Infect card just to see how that goes, but it seems like the Sever card might be the way to go just because you have the better crits and everything. I'm interested to see whether or not this kills with the Infect card, which it still does good damage, so I would hope so. Okay, it does, so that's great. We didn't drop a chest there, so I need to reset, but yeah, that's the side note for now. Alrighty, so this is the last run for the Super Awakening Coin Dungeon, and I have to say, I think Echidna is not the way to go for this dungeon specifically. I think you'd be much better off having Escanor in this position, because if you look here, I was doing about 320-ish thousand damage with the Echidna Sever card, and if I use both King cards here, and I use just a regular AoE from Arthur, I do 427, which is a whole 100,000 more damage. And when it comes to this phase right here, she just doesn't really do anything spectacular for the team. She's just, I don't know, she's just not really doing anything because it's just a single target, or, you know, it's a single enemy. You don't need the AoEs. I think another thing, I'm not positive on it, you'd have to time it, I guess, to see how fast her animations actually are, but to me, she almost has this, like, the worst animations to use here, because, like, I know King has kind of long animations for his attack cards, but when it comes to using, like, somebody like Arthur, they're really fast and quick. They're over with pretty easily, and like, are just fast. And I think that, you know, in a situation like this where you're gonna have to be, you know, resetting your runs and stuff like that, if you don't drop a chest, whatever the case may be, you want to save as much time as you possibly can. So having a consistent clear on turn 1 with just, you know, King and Arthur alone makes that easy. If you don't drop a chest, you just easily reset, you know, bada bing bada boom, and then you can really just replace Echidna with a good single target attacker to try to get that second phase over with a lot quicker if you get good RNG or whatever the case may be there. So not really so sure about having her on the team there. I do want to do a couple of gold runs really quickly, because obviously this is going to be the one where you know, I feel like you're going to get a lot of use out of, you know, having a bunch of AoEs on the team and everything. I would imagine that having Arthur would be nice to lower the stats and everything and have the debuff on already. Plus the enemies on this one should be a lot easier to kill, so I think I'm gonna just let it do a quick 5 runs on this, see, sort of like, I'll just kind of watch it and see how it goes. We'll watch the first one together, and I guess we'll just kind of take notes, because unfortunately this should be an easy 3-turn clear, I would imagine, no matter what, because we literally only have one single target card in hand. I guess it could be an issue if we just end up pulling a lot of single target cards for Arthur later on. Obviously, one card here is enough to actually kill, but the big problems here with this, the gold stage, is that you have one enemy who's not, or, you know, not on the field, who's sort of like taking up time before you even push into the second phase. That card did not kill on one attack, which is not good for time either. But I would imagine we have a pretty easy time clearing this last phase right here, because it's just Dreyfus and 2 ads, which we also got King's ultimate, I guess, as well, so it'll probably use that, skip the animation, and that should kill by itself. So that's good. I don't know, maybe we just need to watch another one to see how it goes, because I don't know, just so far it doesn't really feel like Echidna's speeding anything up. You know, we already had some decent stuff as it was. I don't think that she's really doing a whole lot. Like, you know, for the gold and silver coin dungeons, you know, she wasn't contributing a whole lot because those stages just in general are kind of slower, just the way that they're designed. Like, it just I don't know, you're basically going to do the same amount of turns regardless, which is a bit unfortunate, I guess. The the Super Awakening Coin Dungeon was not really good for her because, you know, it's a single enemy in phase 2. I'm not positive on the Anvil Dungeon. I don't really want to use my, you know, limited dungeon keys for an Anvil run right now because I don't really need Anvils at the moment. So I just don't want to waste it. But if you do that with her, I guess let me know. And then I don't know, as long, I guess it's just a matter on getting enough AoE units that can just consistently one turn each of these phases to make sure that you do it quick and easy and one attack each time. Would obviously be ideal, but it looks like there's just a small bit of slowdown here as well. So I don't know. I guess in conclusion, she's fine. I obviously having more options and stuff like that is always a good thing. You know, you can swap them out if you've already invested into this unit, but you maybe haven't invested into Shin, or you don't have Shin's Holy Relic, or whatever the case may be. Obviously, you can just use Echidna here in this situation if you have the attack, you know, crit damage on her for just like faster clears and stuff like that. So obviously, more options is good. But would I say that she's like, you know, necessary or like a huge increase in like efficiency or anything like that? Probably not. So I don't know, kind of a weird video. It's a lot of recording, not as much talking as I have an hour and 12 minutes of footage to sort of cut through. But I don't know. I do like the farming aspect of the game and just a lot of the PvE stuff and stuff like that in general. And I'm always excited to see new, you know, units that can come out and help hopefully speed up the farming process, because obviously the faster you farm, the more rewards. If you let it do it overnight or whatever, that's just going to be an increase overall in just how many you know, gold chests you're dropping or whatever you're farming. So I don't know. Interesting video nonetheless. I guess you know, there's some decent info in there to let you know whether or not you need to invest into her for this or that. But that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.